been a good start to the season for Williams, who comfortably lead the Constructors' rankings and have scored in every race so far. Carlos Reutemann leads the drivers' standings with 2 wins and has scored in every race in the last 15 races except in Monaco. Alan Jones, meanwhile, has had a little bit of a dip in form recently, but we'll be hoping it's just a small mid-season wobble. Williams haven't been as dominant as they might have liked, however, and we'll have to look out for teams like Brabham, Ferrari and even Ligier nipping at their heels in the races to come. It's hard to believe that Tyrrell were winning races 3 or 4 years ago. Kevin Cogan was the first man to ever not qualify in a Works Tyrrell, and Michele Alboretto's repeated the feat in Spain. Eddie Cheever looks lively enough at least and has scored 3 times so far, while rookie Alboretto does seem to be struggling a bit to get to grips with Formula 1. Brabham are also looking strong with 3rd place in the championship, but Nelson Piquot's retired from the last 3 races in a row and will be wanting to get back to winning ways. It's very obvious that this is a one-car team, essentially, with the triumvirate of Bernie Ecclestone, designer Gordon Murray and Nelson Piquet being the main focus, and you wonder how much Rebecca's lack of results in the second car is to do with him, and how much is him being ignored by everybody else in the team. Still, failing to qualify in Monaco when your teammate is on pole isn't a great look, and Brabham might feel that if they want to tilt at the Constructors' title, they need somebody in the second car who can score reliably. McLaren have generally been poor of late, and the start of this year was no exception, but things have perked up enormously since the introduction of the new carbon fibre MP1 chassis, with John Watson putting it on the podium in Spain. In the number 8 car, Andrea de Cesaris's record speaks for itself, with only 2 finishes in the last 7 races, albeit one of them in the points at least. He's also been out-qualified by his teammate Watson 6-1, and the 1 was the first race of the season in Long Beach, where the cars were 22nd and 23rd. Not exactly a stellar recommendation. ATS are one of the teams involved in this season. They've not exactly done brilliantly so far, but there are others who've done worse. Slim Borgoods had 4 races and is qualified for 1 of them, but he did finish it, and the car seems generally reliable. If they can find just that little bit more pace to get into races more regularly, they might actually put some results together. Another team who've been through the doldrums in recent years is Lotus, and like McLaren, it was the introduction of a new car that helped them out. Although it wasn't the new car that they wanted to introduce, the Lotus 88, and the distraction of that in the earlier part of the season probably hasn't helped anything. But the introduction of the Lotus 87 made the team more competitive straight away. De Angelis has been more consistent, scoring 4 times, every time he's finished in fact, while Mansell has had the best individual result with his 3rd place in Belgium, his first career podium. Like Jones and Reutemann, De Angelis and Mansell are very different characters, the aristocratic playboy De Angelis and the hard-grafting Midlander Mansell, and Colin Chapman will need to keep an eye on them to make sure their relationship stays strong. Ensign have rarely hit the headlines this year, but Mark Sura spent most of the season so far plugging away quietly, putting in a series of good results, including 4th place in Brazil and 6th place in Monaco, which makes his replacement by Eliseo Salazar in Spain even more awkward. Plain and simple, it's about money. Ensign don't have any, Salazar does, and that's how we keep racing. Touted as championship contenders in the off-season, Renault have been a big disappointment so far this year. Alain Prost only finished 1 race, albeit in 3rd place, and while René Arnoux has finished 4 times, only 1 of those was in the points down in 5th. He even had the indignity of failing to qualify in Belgium. The team will be hoping to turn things around at the French Grand Prix in front of their home fans, because Renault Corporate won't accept bad results for very long. March may be a constructor with long experience, but they're finding things hard back in Formula 1. Funding is an issue, obviously, especially with Salazar now moving his Chilean millions to Ensign. Deciding to drop to 1 car and focus all their efforts on Derek Daly seems to have paid immediate dividends as he finally actually managed to qualify for Spain. We'll see how that goes as the season pans out. Another team who might have done better with a little more reliability, the Fittipaldi squad, are really missing their talismanic namesake driver. Rosberg is making a good fist of it, however, and although Serra seems to be finding the step up to Formula 1 difficult, he's not been completely blown away and is managing to hold his own mostly. As ever with small underfunded teams, reliability is their Achilles heel, but if they can finish, they might pick up a lucky point or 2 as others fall by the wayside. Like Renault, Alfa Romeo are the recipients of a massive budget backed by state funds. They make their own engines, they have all the recipe for success, except like Renault, it hasn't come yet this year. Reliability is an issue, but the car's just not fast enough. Even 1978 world champion Mario Andretti finds himself usually scrapping in midfield, and of 4 finishes, the only one in the points so far has been that 4th place at the home race in Long Beach. Giacomelli, meanwhile, may not have had that elusive points finish, but he has outqualified Andretti 4 times to 3, so clearly he's no slouch. Again, like Renault though, you have to wonder how long the corporate overlords will want their name attached to an embarrassing failure. Ligier won races in 1979 and 1980, although as somebody said, even at the time it looked like they didn't quite know how they were doing it. The start of this year has been pretty dismal for them so far, but Jacques Laffite seems to have finally found his feet, with 3 podium visits in the last 3 races. His brother-in-law Jean-Pierre Jabouille, however, seems to be finding it really difficult coming back from his horrible injury. Nobody blames him, but if Ligier do want to make a title challenge, they'll need somebody who can score points. Ferrari had a dismal 1980 after their championship-winning 1979, and this year hope to do better with their new turbo engines. The start of the season was dreadful with 3 retirements in a row for both drivers, but results have picked up in Europe. Jacques Villeneuve has delighted the fans again with his 2 race wins, but Pironi seems to be struggling a bit in his first year at the Scuderia. Enzo Ferrari isn't known for being a patient man, and if Pironi wants to stay on, he'll need to sort things out. Now in his 3rd year with the team, Riccardo Patrese has evidently settled in very well at Arrows, and has been consistently performing well in qualifying for them. His pole position in Long Beach may have been a surprise, but it wasn't a fluke, and he's only once qualified out of the top 10 so far. He's visited the podium twice, and it could have been more often if his car had been just that little bit more reliable. Safe to say, many of the big teams will be having a look at Riccardo Patrese in the off-season. Siegfried Storer is having a less enjoyable time of it, failing to qualify twice, even before the incident in Belgium, which has left him thoroughly shaken up. It is difficult as a rookie coming into a team with an established relationship with a driver like Arrows and Patrese, but at the end of the day, results are all that matter to Formula One teams. Osella have had a really trying first half of the season, with the usual tribulations of backmarking teams, failures to qualify, a revolving door of drivers, added to the tragic death of Giovanni Amadeo, a major blow for such a small team, not to mention Miguel Angel Guerra's nasty accident. After all of that, just getting into a race and finishing it will seem like an achievement. Let's hope they manage it. The bare record of a single point for Patrick Tambay masks the remarkable achievement of the Theodore team in the first half of the 1981 season. A small team in its first season of Formula One has finished every race it started bar 1, has scored 1 point, got very close to the points in Monaco as well, and looked like established midfielders. And all this with the ridiculous front wing looking like somebody's bolted a tea tray to the nose of the car. Again though, it's all about the money, and they'll just have to hope that somebody with it is willing to invest and improve the team further. They may have bossed it in Formula 2, but Toleman are finding Formula 1 really tough going. They are improving every race, but it's an improvement from 10 seconds behind pole to 8 seconds behind pole. The car is reportedly nicknamed the Pig for its handling, but this is evidently going to be an establishing season. They'll hope to maybe get into a couple of races before the end of the year, but really they're looking forward to 1982 already, gaining experience of the circus in general, but also with Brian Hart's turbo engine.